Anybody who's joining us, please let me know in the chat if you can see me and you can hear me. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. Well, at least I find it very interesting, to say the least. But I wanted to know if you can see me and hear me. Thank you so much for everybody joining me today. As always, we do these lives to share the knowledge and have a bit of a chat and maybe a bit of a laugh as well. We don't take it too seriously, and the aim is just to, get myself out there and talk about things with you, and hopefully we could learn off of each other. Hello, Ahmed. How are you today? Happy Ramadan. Good. So, good evening again, everyone, and I hope everyone is well. First things first, um, just let me know in the comments where you're joining me from today. Welcome to today's live, um, and make yourself comfortable, please. Raise any questions you have in the comments. If you have any suggestions, if you have any opinions or views on things, I would also like to learn from you and to hear from you as well. Today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn, especially for engineers. I really hope you stick around till the end today because we will explore different ways uh, where you could use your LinkedIn, whether it's in a job search or growing your personal brand or learning in general and following people that you find are working on interesting things. And I have some resources to give away towards the end that will help you with what you can do on LinkedIn. So make sure you stay with me. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I'd really like to hear about your personal experience with LinkedIn and your opinion about the whole LinkedIn thing, because LinkedIn is growing massively. And, by the way, let me know in the comments if you enjoy LinkedIn. So give me a thumbs up if you find it useful and entertaining. And if you find it cringe, a lot of people do, then please feel free to comment why. I'm really interested in hearing back from you with regards to what LinkedIn feels for you, and um, what useful things do you find on it, and what annoying things. And for those of you who don't know me or joining me for the first time, well, thank you for joining me, and hello and welcome. My name is Mohammed, and I work as a director of design and engineering for Orius in the UK, which is a company specializing in substation projects. I've spent the last 17 years working on substation projects across different countries and different industries. I've done different roles in different power grid industries and different types and kinds of substations. And I'm really passionate about talking about all things electrical engineering, as you could tell. You'll find me writing a weekly article, or sometimes two, over on my Substack, and which, by the way, is completely free. And it is where I go into so much useful details on how to take small actions in order to grow your career in electrical engineering and in engineering in general. So if you are looking for quick, small, doable actions to take in order to progress your career, you have come to the right place. Hopefully, I also help and mentor and coach a lot of engineers. And ever since I have started writing and publishing on LinkedIn, I've been very lucky to connect with a lot of excellent and talented engineers worldwide. It makes me feel so happy and so proud. And therefore, I also like, to come to these lives, and not just to help people, but also to push myself and expand my personal abilities. So I'm a bit selfish in that way as well. Good. But frankly speaking, I think, there isn't enough people talking about, um, you know, the topics people ask me about on a weekly basis, if not a daily basis. So I encourage anyone that has the knowledge, and this means everyone out there, to start sharing on LinkedIn about what they do, because they never know. You never know who you're helping or inspiring or even getting them educated more on something that sets them on the right way, or could set them on the right way and make their lives better, even if it's only very slightly, but that makes a difference. So if you think that you do not feel that you have something to add or contribute, then remember, what is obvious to you might not necessarily be so for others. And what you already know can be very, very new and valuable information to others as well. So always share. This makes all our lives better. Today, let's try to make sense of the whole LinkedIn thing first, and understand more about it and what it is and how it works. And this is the aim for today. So let's explore how people interact with it and use it differently, and what kinds of results do they achieve when focusing on different things that they could do differently on the platform. So LinkedIn is actually, it has been transitioning, and it is still changing on a major scale. I don't know if you've noticed, but some of the things on the platform have changed recently. So they have actually changed some of they introduced a video feed, and then they removed the video feed. So the platform itself is changing, and it's going, I would say, it did go slowly from a platform where people used to, celebrate their so-called achievements and certifications and awards and all that good stuff, which we will talk about in a minute. But it's transitioning into more of a place where we can actually learn from real people with real applicable experience. LinkedIn is giving more and more opportunities for people who would, in my opinion, would otherwise struggle with not having the access to such either experienced leaders or people, you know, um, or opportunities in general. And people no longer need to struggle nowadays to get access to better job opportunities. I think whether you land the opportunity or not, that's something else. But certainly, LinkedIn has made a lot more um, job opportunity accessible for more people. Okay, now some might argue this also causes a surge in applications. Well, that's another topic. So I invite everyone to become interested in this, because the potential is endless. But people lose on many opportunities and on the potential because of mainly, I believe, three things. The first one is they do not know how to browse and search and use the platform in order to find the information that they are after. The second thing is they don't know how to optimize their profiles and the feeds, and hence they might not appear as a top result when recruiters are searching for people like them or candidates um, similar to their profiles. And the third thing is they do not know how to use, they don't use the platform properly in terms of engaging effectively, and missing out on not posting as well and engaging with content. And the fourth thing, which I find, is 99% of the people, um, with 99% of the people, or 99% of us do it, is that we do not know how to message and network on the platform properly. So I've been on LinkedIn since 2014, and so it's over 10 years now. And I can tell you that LinkedIn is where I found out about what was going to be, at the time, my first job in the UK. It was also where I learned about the two consecutive jobs. I think in my current role, I was headhunted on LinkedIn. So when it comes to job search, LinkedIn is leading the way and has already become the place where people primarily search for jobs. So it's a mistake to actually ignore it if you are looking for a job, or looking for opportunities. Not only that, but I'm now getting contacted by recruiters all the time, and it's not just me. I know a lot of engineers who are getting, you know, um, contacted by recruiters constantly, and of course, a lot of these contact attempts are, not fruitful or not needed. And even if you're not searching, but at the same time, that's a good thing. So I'll explain later how does that happen, and when it comes to how the recruiters search for and find talent, what does that look like, and what do they see? Recruiters are also with us on this platform with the aim of finding the right candidates. So their livelihood actually depends on it. Yeah, that's their job. That's they're paid and rewarded on finding the talent. So LinkedIn is the place to be. That's for sure, for them and for us. And so recruiters are finding people on LinkedIn to interview and hire every day. On top of that, LinkedIn is the place where I found out, or I find out every day about, industry trends and news. I keep myself up to date. Um, I've found myself learning a lot from LinkedIn lately, and it's really interesting because behind all this feed of fake excitement of regular announcements, there's actually tons of useful information out there. And it's not just that; it's also opinions and opinions. When you listen to different opinions and you listen to opposing opinions, of course, in the right way, and they're all polite somehow on LinkedIn. Well, relatively anyway, compared to other platforms. But and that's an interesting thing, by the way. Maybe it's I don't understand how people are more polite on LinkedIn compared to other platforms, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but I think this has something to do with the professional image. So when people are on other platforms, they are not portraying themselves within that professional image, if you like. So, but on LinkedIn, we're all connected to our employers, and it's related to, again, our jobs, our livelihoods. So maybe that adds a bit of accountability, if you like, which is not a bad thing. It's really good. But anyway, back to what we were saying about different opinions. There's tons of useful information, and you just need to be able to find it and apply yourself. So there's no point in endlessly and mindlessly scrolling, getting that dopamine hit, and then off we go. No, you need to apply what you're learning, and it can become sometimes overwhelming with the amount of information out there. But I found that on LinkedIn there are some good sources of information that you could apply and help you in your career. So we will explain also further on this later today. And it's very important to simplify the use of LinkedIn, because as any other platform, unfortunately, with the added features and constant updates, it is turning into a big beast. It's becoming somehow clunky and complicated to operate. So my aim as well today is to give you a very simple and straightforward tips, that could actually be applied easily to help you get a better experience, or an experience that I found massively helpful so far anyway for myself. So we don't want to turn LinkedIn into something like any other apps or on our phones, which, where we go to scroll endlessly and just get really little result or benefits from that. I know a lot of people overdo it. So my advice is to actually limit that. Another important point is, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you need to limit the number of people you follow. And I think that advice applies to, all social media platforms today. So maybe it's not a problem for a lot of people listening, but, certainly people my age and people younger are finding themselves hours on social media platforms every day. So limit the number of people you follow, and always use that feature of unfollowing or asking LinkedIn to show you less of that kind of content. If you engage with something, even if you spend some time reading it, LinkedIn will observe that or mark that and show you more of it or similar to it. And your feed will always be suggesting more of the similar content. So if, for example, if you enjoy posts about power system protection and control, then LinkedIn will find those posts related to that genre, and specifically the ones which are trending more or already finding good audience, and the algorithm will recommend these posts to your feed. So think of it as the algorithm constantly trying to figure you out. So from time to time, the platform will push different type of content your way and see how you react. So be mindful of that. You need to show, not tell, if you like. So what you enjoy and what you do not enjoy, or what do you want to learn from, what do you not want to learn from. All these are things that you have got to keep in mind when you're scrolling on LinkedIn. Okay. And not just job search, but networking and learning from LinkedIn over the last few years have really benefited me. So, both professionally and on a personal level. But there are many more and other uses of LinkedIn, more to even list here. So, we said job search, that's the first thing. The second thing is learning and development. The third thing is, you know, um, not necessarily for engineers, but recruitment. So as hiring managers, as recruiters, LinkedIn is the number one place we find talent. End of. As simple as that. And we will go through some statistics later, but recruitment is now the number one activity on LinkedIn. Personal branding. So some people like to use it to establish themselves as thought leaders or industry leaders, and that expands their personal brand, and as a result gives them access to bigger and more opportunities in the future. Another thing is business and sales. You cannot believe the amount of B2B sales happening on LinkedIn. So it's becoming a place where it's a very, very popular and reliable source uh, for um, for finding leads and lead generation. So it's a place where sales professionals are able to find new customers as well. And another use is research. So a lot of market insights and workplace behaviors, and a lot of research related to that is happening on LinkedIn already. So it has become a strong place for researchers to find information and discover new trends, specifically those related to the workplace or the workforce behavior. So they can get a feel of what the working force might think or feel about a particular topic or subject. But today we'll be focusing primarily on LinkedIn for engineers. So to learn, to grow, to network, and in case you need it to search for a job. And in a bit, I'll go through these things that help me the most and the things that I see are helping others and how others are finding success on this platform. Yeah. Please leave any questions you might have in the comments, because I will be answering them as I go. So if you have any questions, suggestions, or even concerns, just let me know in the comments. Right. And the psychology of being on LinkedIn, we need to address one important thing. Why do people find LinkedIn cringe? And is LinkedIn actually cringe? If you feel so, please let me know in the comments, because I really want to learn from you. What makes LinkedIn cringe and uncomfortable, in my opinion, and what are its biggest problems? This is important to be aware so that you are not put off by the platform, and hopefully avoid its pitfalls and enjoy its benefits. The biggest problem is the lack of real interaction. I mean, even now I'm talking to a camera, so there is no face-to-face interaction. But it's even worse when you're reading a post. So this imposes a sort of filter depending on the person reading or viewing your post, meaning that preconceived impressions, can prevail sometimes. Well, most of the time, I would say. So you might view someone as out of touch, for instance, or arrogant, and that could be based on 100% untrue notions. So it isn't a fact, but will affect your way, or the way you view and judge the content. So remember that we are all different, with different uh, cultural biases and backgrounds, and what can be considered normal in one's culture may be abnormal to someone else's. So this also goes beyond different working cultures in different organizations, industries, countries, generations, etc. So comparisons can be very easy and abstract on LinkedIn, and because it's human nature, so people can tend to find themselves comparing against others, especially when there is a sense of exaggerated positivity and what can sound like humble bragging. Sure, it can sometimes feel very overwhelming with a flood of oversharing of what people consider as achievements. I know that. And what is meant to be inspiration can feel very inauthentic in a way when it's coming from an empty place. So, again, this is all uh, objective. So, people will see something and they will feel or get an emotion based on that, and they will judge that piece of content or advice or post or sharing of knowledge based on that. So we have to understand that every post is not always intended for everybody. So there will always be people who resonate with something more than others would do, because we're all different, and that's okay. So my view on this is take what you like and leave what you don't. I see at the moment, I see a glimmer of hope where I see thousands commenting or engaging on posts where people share their vulnerabilities and stating that they're desperately looking for roles. And I think that's the strong thing about this platform, where back in the day, people might have struggled in that situation. Well, now they can ask for help and find it really quickly. So I personally, feel that's a strong aspect uh, of the platform. Hello, somebody saying hello. Yeah, hi back to you. So I personally do not like, believe it or not, I don't like sharing a lot of things on LinkedIn. So I always run my ideas through a filter, a number of filters. So number one, will it help or educate somebody? Number two, if it inspires someone, especially people starting on their careers. And number three, will it come across as a selfish or arrogant bragging? If it does, then there's no way I'll be sharing it. That's just me. And everyone can become in less lucky and unfortunate situations where they're out of a job and facing rejection after rejection, through their job application journey. And that's a, challenging place to be. So imagine that when you're posting, because the last thing they want to see is you bragging about what you perceive as success. I'm not saying do not celebrate or do not share something that inspires others, but do it moderately. I think we need to be more considerate and we need to focus on the learning element. If I'm going to share something on the platform, it's preferably something that people could learn of or from. So that's just my opinion on being on LinkedIn and the psychology of LinkedIn. Tell me if you agree or have any comments. What happened to the people who used to watch and comment? So I can see there are a few people watching, but I'm not getting a lot of comments. Okay, now I've refreshed it. I'm getting some questions. So let's have a look. Hello, Mariam. Hello, everybody. For some reason, I cannot find all the questions. Okay. Maybe it's a matter of refreshing. That's fine. Let's continue. And when it, arrives on my system, I will just put it on the screen. And so, Hussam, I've got your question. Don't worry about it. I'll answer it. Let me go through this section first as well. So the next section, we'll talk about the potential of LinkedIn. Now, as of 2025, and I know these numbers might not mean a lot on a personal level, but they are very important statistics and very interesting, I'll be honest, and compelling about LinkedIn. And in my opinion, it's good to know all these statistics to understand more about LinkedIn as a platform. So LinkedIn, as of 2025, has got 1 billion users. Now, this has been rising 10 to 15% year on year, and it's expected to continue to rise. So that means that this is the professional network. It is the professional network. There is no other professional network out there. And almost half of the users, and this is very interesting, almost half of the users today are 25 to 34 years old. And this means that the decision makers of the future are already on the platform. Read into that what you like. So this tells you that LinkedIn is the future of everything, specifically for workplace, of course, for a workplace and for professional, networking. So if you think LinkedIn is the only place where people are hired today, wait till you see what happens in the next 5 to 10 years. I personally, LinkedIn will effectively replace the requirement of the CV. So I'm already seeing that we look at the LinkedIn with the CV. If the LinkedIn is put on the CV, I will look at the LinkedIn. So it's very important. And in the future, I think it's going to replace the CV, because think about it. If AI is getting integrated into everything and helping us automate and be faster and more efficient, right? In which case, the whole recruitment process, and by the way, this isn't some kind of fantasy, it is already mainly happening today, majorly. So in the future, the recruitment process is expected to be heavily even more reliant on AI. And, the whole thing is going to run on the LinkedIn algorithm. So your profile is your CV. If not, it's going to be your CV soon. And your activity and interests on the platform will contribute to how the algorithm can recommend you or not. Okay. Right. Over time, this will become more and more successful and more widely used, making it the status quo in 5 to 10 years time. Today, LinkedIn has 180 million senior influencers, so people who are decision makers or could affect decisions and make decisions in businesses. And it's got 65 million decision makers, actual business decision makers, and 10 million C-level executives. So this means people who make business decisions and, of course, hiring decisions are part of this network. Some of them are more accessible than others. Of course, some of them are more active than others. Some of them are more open for, contact and networking and messaging than others. But what is true is that this platform is starting to affect business decisions and, of course, hiring decisions. Hi, David. David is my colleague and he's watching as well. Okay, so I will answer your question in a bit. Give me just a minute, please. And today it's reported that nearly 3 in every 4 recruiters use LinkedIn to find talent. I'm personally surprised it's not 100%, because it makes it so much easier and more reliable for recruiters to have everything in one place, find the right talent, get automated recommendations, etc. You wouldn't believe this recruiter cockpit that they have as recruiters, of course, who use LinkedIn Premium to recruit and find the right talent. They've got basically a dashboard that shows them all sorts of things about the profile, people's activities, not in any way that invades privacy, but at the same time they get to know if somebody's been interacting with the company page or not, and we will get into that later. Right, I'll take a quick break and go through some of the questions. So this is from David, but it's not showing up with his name on it. Validation of credentials will still be required. How can LinkedIn support this? So LinkedIn at the moment has got a verification feature, and people need to verify with either their ID or their professional, company email address. And when it comes to the actual credentials, I think that there are already organizations that can link the credentials to LinkedIn, and this is just going to increase. So at the moment, you could, for instance, get the certifications from the PMI, for instance. You can, on the PMI platform, share it with LinkedIn so that it's verified on LinkedIn and it's added to your profile on LinkedIn. But I think that it's going to also be more and more robust in the future. The other question we have is Hussam saying, what's the advice for an electrical engineer newly in the UK market? Well, if you are new, if you're completely new in the UK, first of all, welcome, and you've come to a good place. At least I think it's a good place. And it is a very good place. It's full of good people. It's got good future for energy and engineering, and I feel the future is bright here and lots of opportunities. So the first piece of advice would be to actually study the market and find out where the opportunities are, and then focus on the second part of the advice is focus on the credential that would get you closer, because when you're coming from outside of the UK, you might be very, very experienced, but you haven't got the credentials, or not the credentials, the knowledge of the UK context and regulation. Okay, so in the UK, there are certain regulations and legislations that are very, very important to what, for example, people do in construction, or people could do in manufacturing, or in other different parts of the or different industries in general. So find out what are these credentials and certifications and knowledge that is missing on your side from the UK context. I could give you examples. For health and safety, it's going to have to be the CDM, it's going to have to be IOSH. You got to understand about the HSE Act, and if you're an electrical engineer, then electrical safety at work legislation. So ground earthing, regulations. So you got to understand and study these regulations and make sure that you are able to answer about them in an interview. And the third piece of advice is to actually network with the recruiters looking for people like you. And that's a very, very, very big enabler and a key to a lot of situations that, people get in touch with me and tell me I'm struggling to find an opportunity, but my CV is good, etc. And I'm looking at the CV, and their CV is good. In all fairness, they've got the experience, they've got good experience, they've got good, track record. So it's not easy always. It's not always easy, but I think that, if you know the right recruiter who knows the hiring, who's got a good network of hiring managers who could actually look at your CV and tell you, look, in order to optimize your CV for that kind of role, you need to change this around, or, focus on this, and, ignore that, remove this, remove that. And that person would then broadcast your CV or your profile as a candidate in their way, of course, to the network of hiring managers that are connected to them. And that would then get you exposed to more opportunities, because it's a numbers game. So when you get, the exposures to more and more opportunities, your chances are higher, especially if you are a good candidate. And I know you are. That's for sure, Hussam. Okay, keep the questions coming. I really enjoy answering the questions, and we're learning from each other. I'm certainly learning a lot from everybody, and everybody who sends me something, gives me more food for thought and gives me more material for my, writing and for my, personal growth as well. So there are over 15 million new or open job listings on LinkedIn, and seven people are hired every minute on LinkedIn. I told you that my last 3 jobs I got through LinkedIn. One, I found out about it and it was an internal job. I applied, and the second one was an internal job, so within the same company. Again, I found out about it on LinkedIn, strangely, but it happens. And again, that's how I applied. And the third one, I got, headhunted or recruited by a recruiter, or approached by a recruiter on LinkedIn. So again, these are all stats and stories that show you that LinkedIn is on another level when it comes to recruitment and job search. And I think it's the only platform with such an interesting composition. And by the way, very, very important takeaway from today, you have a 71% higher chance of being invited for an interview if your LinkedIn profile is optimized and comprehensive. And we will explain what that means and what you need to do later in today's session. And that's only, one of the huge potentials of LinkedIn today. But I'm seeing more and more engineers and engineering leaders, share more about their work. And this is brilliant because that experience and that knowledge on their posts is absolutely, um, amazing. Because this makes it more easier and more accessible for more people to learn from the experienced and talented people out there who could be only a couple of steps ahead of them. But I would really, I mean, I do follow people and learn from them as well. But I really like it when somebody I look up to and find them on LinkedIn and learn from their experience, what they're saying, because I feel like in a few years' time I could be like them. So that's the benefit of LinkedIn. I think there is a lot of good stuff when it comes to that kind of interaction. And I'm certainly, as I told you, nothing wrong with following people that you find interesting and fascinating, and always enjoy this about the internet. Back in the day, you used to learn from the people around you at work. So your luck depending on who you are around and which organization you're in. But that's no longer primarily the case, So you're able to now share knowledge and benefit from shared knowledge on the LinkedIn and the expertise out there. So this is easily found on LinkedIn today. So the barriers are lowered, and this is a big opportunity for everyone. And the more healthy competition there is in the space, of sharing the knowledge and having different opinions and having different views, that's really good, because it will just lead the quality of information to become better and better over time. And the more informed we will become as engineers on technical matters and other matters related to career growth and um, being in business, succeeding in business. So there's good potential there. And the third biggest potential or opportunity on LinkedIn is networking, but it's not just for career opportunities, but also in terms of mentorship. Again, you can find a lot of good advice. You can find a lot of good people that you could reach out and ask for advice from. And remember what we always say on this live and others, but we always say, remember, advice needs to be taken with the right context. But nonetheless, there is a huge opportunity in connecting with the people who have, been through the same or similar challenges and situations in their careers that are similar to yours, and seeking guidance from them and advice from them is very, very valuable. Okay. Now, the three ways that we could benefit from on LinkedIn, in my opinion, start with um, learning off of LinkedIn. Okay. And how do you learn from LinkedIn? Well, the first thing is you follow the right people, or the people you could learn from. So, and this is where, and I'll probably do a video about this uh, in the next week or so. So let me know in the comments if you could benefit from something like that. Is how do you actually search on LinkedIn for the people that you should follow or you want to follow? So if you're interested, type in the comments interested, and I'll send you the link to that video once I make it. And I'm probably going to record it in the next week or maybe this weekend. But basically, what you could do is go to the search bar and search and use the filters to understand and find or filter out who is active as a influencer or creator or leader or whomever, but who is active and who's not. So this is where you could actually find people who talk about what you're interested in. Excuse me. And the second thing is, find the people sharing about their careers, companies, jobs. So if you're interested in a certain, career path, find the people who are, as I said, a couple of steps ahead of you on that career path, and try to maybe network with them. We'll get into that later, but first of all, observe their posts and find what they say, and compare that to your circumstance, or to your um, situation, and from there you can learn and ask questions. By all means, you can always engage and comment and send them questions. I think that a lot, well, majority of the profiles or people on LinkedIn, or 90% of people on LinkedIn are actually not active. Yeah, they're just dormant profiles, maybe used once or twice, and that's it. Or maybe just passively viewing and not interacting enough. And that's okay. Yeah, everyone's free to do their own thing. But you will always find the people that are interested in having the conversation, are interested in sharing the knowledge, and that's how you will find them with that search. So you need to find the industry leaders that you could also learn from, because those people are also commenting on what's happening on the trends as well, when it comes to energy policy, when it comes to what's happening in the industry, when it comes to what's happening in the skills and you know requirements to be more hireable. Yeah, so these are all things that you want to learn from the horse's mouth, as they say. Yeah. So the more you can find the people who are even a couple of steps ahead of you, the better for you. And then another source of good information is, you'll find a lot of lives like this one. So people who are going live discussing about things. And I have a plan as well. I want to be hopefully soon hosting, different guests on the live to talk about their career path and their career journey and, different things in electrical engineering. So watch this space. And if you think this is a good idea, tell me as well. Please let me know. And the latest, business news, the commentary on it and the developments, the opinions of, experienced people and people who have valuable opinions in the field. So this is all useful things on LinkedIn. The other thing on LinkedIn, but I see less of at the moment, I don't know, it used to be very popular maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, and now it's becoming less and less, is professional groups and communities. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, LinkedIn is a big community. Maybe it makes sense to get into a closed group with a smaller community so the interaction is more and more, um, close. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with getting into that kind of groups. I see many likes and hearts, and I don't know, maybe it's just all coming at once or somebody's clicking a lot. Let's see. We have a few questions as well. That's good to keep them coming. I'll stop in a minute and go through the questions towards the end. We only have another maybe I think 10 minutes, and we're gonna take the questions, but maybe hopefully before this as well. Okay, and the second thing you can learn from LinkedIn is the company updates. So I personally follow the big companies in the UK in terms of energy and also in the Middle East to an extent. But, I'm mainly primarily interested in the UK market, UK energy market. So I find out about, again, their announcements on news, trends, different projects, things that we can learn from all this. And how do you also learn where the industry is going, because these companies, they actually form a lot of the policies or affect and influence a lot of the policies, and they can be very, very important and good sources of information. Yeah. Initiatives, different initiatives, different projects and job openings, it's not just, even if you're not looking for a job, looking at job openings and finding out what's happening out there. Because when you're in a job, there is a risk of you actually falling behind and not catching up with the industry trend. So you need to always find out what's happening out there. For instance, in the SCADA world, they might be asking for more and new different cybersecurity certifications. So, that's good to know so that you can request that kind of training within your current role, or seek to get that kind of training within your current role. So these are all important insights. And, I always say nobody's there to save you. So you got to work on yourself and you got to find out about these things. And the last thing I think is going, learning about, like, if you're a graduate or if you're somebody who's new to the industry, understanding, knowing more about career webinars, recruitment drives. Again, a lot of these companies, they do like career days or career fairs or webinars on recruitment. So it's all this is good, especially if you've got your eye on one of these companies to join in the future. And then, of course, courses. Everybody knows about LinkedIn Learning is becoming very, very popular. It has been very reliable for many years. The online courses save 40 to 60% of time when compared to traditional methods. Plus, they are very, very convenient. And you can sign up for LinkedIn courses, with LinkedIn Premium, so it's got good courses. And also, you can follow people who are regularly completing courses, because LinkedIn Premium today now gives them the ability to share courses with their audience or with their connections. So if you're connected to somebody who does actually go and complete a lot of these courses, they can share free courses with you, so you don't even have to pay for the premium and sign up. So that's also important, so bear that in mind. You can get really good and short courses on things like unconscious bias, communication skills, emotional intelligence, time management, and there are other technical courses. I think if you're a software engineer or interested in learning coding and AI, certainly there are good. I found good courses on generative AI, Excel courses. So again, Excel is very, very important, and people underestimate, but Excel is still part of the business fabric as we stand today. So you can do everything in Excel, and if you can find, I don't know how many hours worth of courses, probably hundreds and hundreds of Excel courses on LinkedIn Learning. So again, it's important to get into LinkedIn Learning. Okay. We're running out of time as usual. Oh, by the way, I need your opinion and I need your help. So today marks the 8th live I've done on LinkedIn, and I've come a long way, I'll be honest with you, and I do enjoy them. But what I want you to tell me in the comments, please, I need your help. Tell me if I should shorten the lives. Is the timing of the live okay? So if you have any comment that could help me, please give me your input. I really appreciate your input, because I know there are people watching. I can't tell how many. I know there's a lot of comments, questions, great. But on the streaming software, it's not giving me any questions. It has now started now. So if I miss a question, I'm really sorry. It's because I cannot see it on my screen. I cannot do it. But I promise you that after every live, I'll go through the comments and try and answer one by one, and respond to you. That's my, the least I could do for sticking around with me and listening to my rant every week. But thank you so much. But what I want to do is understand from you, if you could put in the comments whether the time needs to change, whether it needs to be shortened, because I was thinking of doing shorter lives, but coming more times a week. So maybe twice a week, but make it shorter. Somebody's telling me you should increase the time span of being live. Thank you. I'm sure my family would disagree with you, but yeah, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for your kindness. How to network on LinkedIn. Okay. Connecting with people is a tricky thing on LinkedIn, and even I send connection requests. Okay. I've got thousands of connection requests that I haven't been able to go through and either accept or, sadly ignore. And that is because I don't think I should accept every connection request. And that's not about, it's nothing about, knowing somebody or not. No, it's not about that. I really think of, a connection, whether, I could add value to the connection or not. So if there is an electrical engineer who's connecting with me, I'll most probably, in 99% of the cases, connect with them. But if I check the profile and I see something that I don't like, or I'm not interested in, I'll probably not connect. But nonetheless, without sounding arrogant, there is no time now to go through the connections requests that I get. But if you're connecting with somebody, be genuine, be yourself. Don't just send an empty connection request. And that's one other thing. If you want to connect with me, if you want to make it easier for me to accept your connection request, or anybody for that, matter, put a personalized message in the connection request. Okay, so there are people who genuinely want to help you. So be yourself. Don't fake it, because it becomes very obvious. And I get sometimes messages written by AI, and I could even look and find that they have left the brackets where they put the parameters in, and at least review the message. So and I still accept it, by the way. That's okay. I mean, we all make mistakes, and we all connect. I send connection requests to people all the time, people that I'm interested in learning from. And sometimes I have questions for people, and sometimes I don't get answers, and that's okay. So don't fake it. It becomes very obvious, and don't, it doesn't result in an authentic connection. So respect people time and privacy, because there is something personal about the DMs. And I know I grew up being on I can't remember the name now, but maybe MS chat rooms and all that, So yeah, in my generation, we are a digital, generation, and we are used to this kind of chatting and DMing, and it doesn't mean much. But for people who are older than us, it could be considered as an invasion of their privacy. You know what I mean? That's invasion. You're stepping into their personal space. So be aware of that. And do not send, I would personally say, do not send connections to people you do not know personally, unless you personalize the request through a message. And people who don't want connections can close it, but most who leave it open, either because they don't know, or they're looking to connect with the right people. So ask yourself, am I the right person? I mean, do I need to connect with the person? You could just follow them and then interact with them, and with time maybe form that kind of link or contact. But then you need to add something, you need to engage with them, and you need to message them with you need to engage with them meaningfully. Okay, so never send generic hello messages or hi. Yeah, because don't just dump your CV in the DM. Please don't. It can be perceived as rude, and people don't appreciate it, especially recruiters. Recruiters, think about recruiters. They probably get hundreds of messages a day. There's not enough time in their day to go through the messages. Yeah. So if you're smart about your message, the recruiter will form a positive impression about your application or, contact with them. And that will drive them to actually take a step further with your contact. Oh, that looks like a good CV. Oh, that looks like a good a candidate. Okay, that sounds good. But when you're vague, your request is probably going to be ignored. It's not because deliberately ignored, it's just because there are other messages piling up on top of it, pushing it to the bottom of the queue, and off we go. That's it's gone. So you need to request to do it. If you're requesting help, do it nicely and clearly. Do not waste their time. Engage authentically and provide real value. Do not send vague messages, and do not send asking to be recommended if you haven't worked with the person. So if I haven't worked with you, how could I ask you to recommend me? Yeah. Okay. And then another part of engaging is reposting. So you need to repost by tagging people, adding something that adds value and meaning. So when you're reposting somebody's post, try to add your opinion. Yeah, try to agree or disagree, but by adding value. Okay, so don't just say great post or excellent post. As a matter of fact, start a dialogue. If you agree with something I say I agree with this because of this, and this, from your own point of view. Why do you agree? And if you disagree, likewise, I think this is, nonsense, or I disagree because this and this and that. I don't mind that, as long as you state, you know, your opinion from your point of view. That makes it valuable, and it makes it an interesting exchange. And this is where we will learn. Okay. So if you want to object, or if you want to put a different opinion to anybody out there, remember they've put the time and effort to share on LinkedIn. So do it politely, please, not in a patronizing or condescending manner. We're trying to be professional. And then there is a very, very important tip here for you, which is, if you want to engage more with somebody, go to their profile and get on the notification. So that LinkedIn, so there is a small icon in the right top corner of every profile you're following or connected to, which is the notification. So if you go there and press on that bell and get all notifications, you'll be notified immediately once they post. And the good thing about that is that when you are notified first and you get to engage first, they can engage back with you. Because usually when people post, especially when I post, not during the day, because I schedule posts and then, I leave them. But what I do is, if it's, free time or after hours, or I get the time to check the post I'm posting, I can actually reply. Yeah. So I will reply, and I will engage with meaningful comments. That's for sure. So if you activate that notification, then you can engage with the people who are posting, because the first 10 to 30 minutes are the time that you will get the most engagement out of somebody. So ask further questions, ask for guidance in a short and a clear way. Okay. Let's take some questions before we finish off with the hiring element. Okay. Okay, somebody here is saying how to convince any employer to switch the field, for example, from design to commissioning. Okay. You need a sponsor within your organization. Okay. It's not about convincing. I think that, the good companies and the good leaders in good places or organizations will always encourage a level of that. Okay. They will always say, you know what, instead of losing, I don't know who asked the question. Instead of losing, I'll call you LinkedIn user, just as it is called on my screen. I'm sorry, but maybe for some reason it's not coming through. Maybe it's your privacy settings or whatever. I don't know. But instead of using LinkedIn user, no, actually keep them in the business. They are our, valuable colleague and employee, and their contributions are valuable to us. So why not open up, different opportunities internally within the business, rather than losing the talent, which is very, very expensive and very, troublesome to replenish and replace. I'm telling you, every business, or at least good businesses, will think that way. Okay. And the good leaders, they want more people to stay than leave. So they will be open for such a thing. In terms of convincing, I think it's about just working. Again, we talked about like promotions and working on your personal brand. So these are all previous videos and posts. You can get back to them, and articles. But it's all about, again, expanding your horizon in terms of your skill set, gaining more skill sets. What kind of skills can you learn on your current role that are transferable to other roles? And transferring within the business to different roles, it's one of the easiest things relatively, because you only need to get involved, and there is no usually barrier for you to get involved. So there is that opportunity already there for you to approach, for example, somebody or one of your peers in that kind of role, whether it's commission, for instance. I mean, from design to commissioning, you could simply say, okay, I'll go to site, propose that you go to site and attend the commissioning, and then when you're over there, get to know the senior engineer on the job and ask them to get involved. It's as simple as that. Honestly, I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but it is as simple as that in something like this. So think about, uh, you know, personal connections. So you need to connect with people, and people need to know that, or have the uh, perception of you, that you are reliable, that you are, um, somebody who is accountable and's got a sense of initiative. If you are the person who everybody wants to be on their team, happy days. These things will come easier for you. So if you do your job right, and if you do your work right, and you are, doing good results, and you are the person who people find easy to work with, the people who like to work with you, and you are reliable, and you are, you know, um, let's say, known as a strong team member, things like that will come easy. Okay. Next question. Why there is more jobs of design than construction of substations and transmission lines? How can we get jobs related to construction and execution of? I think there are more jobs in site-based and construction than in design. That's just personally, and in commissioning as well, because they are jobs that require people to move around more. So there is less competition there. In design, it's mostly either office-based or now hybrid, at least, or remotely, even in many cases. So the competition is higher. Imagine that, you've got a job that people could do from anywhere in the country, and one job that people have to be locally there to do it. So, the competition levels are not equal. They're not even close. So I think it's the other way around, my friends. There are more jobs in construction and in commissioning and site based than in design. Great discussion, Mo. Thanks, Mo. Yeah, thank you, David. My advice to all: be brave and trust your skills. Yes, it's very important to trust your skills, because I think that confidence is also important, and in a lot of cases, confidence can help you communicate more, can help you communicate effectively. Confidence also allows you to not take things personally. Confidence, helps you with, not reading too much into things. So I think that, a lot of things can be gained by trusting in yourself, believing in yourself, and it's not just self-help talk. It's reality. Next question is Ahmad Riyad. How do you compare the working environment in the energy sector in the UK and in the Middle East? Pros and cons. Okay. So I can only compare after 10 years in the UK and 3 years in Saudi Arabia and 4 years in Egypt. So that's 10 versus 7. They're all different. Every country's got its pros and, not so pros, if you like. I personally did not feel anything negative in these 3 countries. That's just me. But I would say the UK is more regulated. It's more bureaucratic, if that's not in a bad way, but it's very, very regulated. Okay. So with the UK, with projects in the UK, they take time. They've got a lot of stakeholders in the UK. With the project, there's a lot of stakeholders. Again, not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying, it's not pros and cons. It's just differences in styles and different ways of doing business. In Saudi Arabia, the technology is second to none. So if you work in Saudi Arabia, you're probably going to be working on state-of-the-art, cutting-edge projects. Simple as that. The size and the sheer scale of Saudi Arabian projects, again, they're unmatched. So personally speaking, Saudi Arabia is a place where I learned a lot, and you can consider yourself lucky if you work in Saudi Arabia in the energy construction industry, because it's just a massive, massive, monumental feat. And, you'll learn a lot. You will come across different nationalities, people from different backgrounds, top level professionals. So again, Saudi Arabia is a really good place to work. Egypt, when it comes to engineering, I think, and I could be biased, I don't know, but I don't think so. I'm not biased. But frankly speaking, there are really excellent engineers in Egypt, especially experienced engineers, people who have worked on big projects. I think the work life balance in Egypt, for me, it was great. So, look, when you ask a question like that, it's all based on personal preference, and it doesn't mean a lot because personally, you are always either biased on a conscious or a subconscious level. So you're always going to look at things through your own lens. And, you know, my answer might not mean much because, this is just my personal opinion. And we are not alike. We are all different. So you might actually enjoy, um, something more than the other. And I'm the other way. But in my opinion, they're all great places with great people, and there's opportunities to learn everywhere you go. In the UK, what I like about the UK is the management. I like learning from the senior, experienced business managers in the UK. Project management is also strong, and contract management is very strong in the UK. Contract management, and commercial management is very, very strong in the UK. So if you want to learn about commercial management and contract management, then the UK is the place to be. It all depends. So I think, in my opinion, there are no cons anywhere you go, but that's just me. But the pros are different. So the good thing about being an engineer is, especially if you get a lot of opportunities, I was really lucky, but to work in different countries and work with different people, traveled many places, had clients from all around the world. I've worked with people in Spain, in France, in Germany, in South Korea. So learned a lot. I learned a lot, and it is something. It's great about being an engineer in the energy construction, and long may that continue. Okay. Somebody saying you should increase the time span of being live. Thank you. Well, I've already increased it. I'm now 7 minutes beyond the time. Amanpreet, great insights. More, keep up the great work, mate. Thank you, mate. Amanpreet is a friend of mine, and he's a really good engineer and STEM ambassador. Thanks, Amanpreet. Thanks, mate. Great advice about dealing with recruiters. Yeah. By the way, people think of recruiters as, um, okay, there's a lot of misconceptions about recruiters, but I think recruiters can help you massively. Okay. If you think about it, recruiters only work or job is to actually find the right people. Okay. So be nice. Okay. And learn from them. There's a lot to learn from recruiters. Don't just think that the recruiters are part of the process. They are a big part of the process. They're a big driver in the process, and you need to learn from them. There's a lot of recruiters out there who share insights. You need to follow them. You need to understand what's making you more hireable and what's not, and what's making you, a strong candidate and what's not. So all these things you could learn from recruiters. Okay. And that is a good segue into the last section today. So if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments, but I'll go through quickly. Getting hired on LinkedIn is a tricky thing because although there are plenty of opportunities, but it is difficult for some people, and people get frustrated, and rightly so. But I think it's about optimizing your profile. And again, I will do a training about this, all free. I don't want any money off of this. But what I'm saying is, you optimize your profile in three ways. There's the visual elements. So maybe the photo, the banner, what's, viewed on your profile quickly as visual images. There is the textual elements, which are, the text. So your posts, and also the different sections, what's written in your experience section, what's written in the about, and what's written in the summary section and in the featured, and then what's your activity, so your posts, etc. So these three things need to be optimized and need to be thought of carefully because it's an open page for everybody to see. Okay. Try to expand your network in the right way, strategically. So again, as I told you, find the recruiters that are in the space you're in. I think it was Hussam who asked about, what do we do if we are new in the market? Well, reach out to those recruiters, those people who are active in that space, looking to help people like us, find them. Okay. And if you follow them, as I said, if you click on that notification bell, then you'll find out whenever they post, and you will be the first to find out when they post about a job. Okay. And try to be strategic with your connections and network expansions, because this will make you more visible for recruiters. Again, find recruiters, find hiring managers who are active and open for the contact. And your credibility will also grow more and more on the platform when you engage for longer, when you provide value, not just fake AI generated readily made responses. You can easily see those. And the other thing is learning how to search for a role. When you're job searching, we will do again another video on this, but this is getting into the detail of the job, where it is, who are the hiring managers. And with LinkedIn Premium, you get a lot of insights. So LinkedIn Premium can quickly run something that is equivalent or similar to what the recruiter have in their recruiter dashboard, and that would help you find find more insights about whether the role, or whether you are a good fit for the role or not. Okay. And I think there's nothing wrong with applying a lot, but I think selectively apply. So when you're applying selectively, and when you're selective and deliberate about how to apply, I think that gives you a better, a chance to focus on the quality of your submission and the quality of your application. So that's just me. Now, one thing that is overlooked is skills. And again, I'll do a video about it, but skills on your section are how mostly the LinkedIn algorithm matches your profile to the recruiter. Okay. And I think that's it. We've gone way beyond the time. Thank you so much. Remember, there are 3 ways to learn on LinkedIn or use LinkedIn: learning and development. We talked about getting hired, and we talked about networking and messaging. LinkedIn, LinkedIn will. It's important to have the right mindset about it, okay, when approaching your user, because LinkedIn will connect you with the right people. It will help you match your profile with the right opportunities, and it will provide an endless source of info, But what LinkedIn cannot do is get you hired on its own. It's not going to do that. Tell you what's right and what's not. It's not going to do that. There are no filters, and it will not do the necessary work for you. So that's on you. LinkedIn can help you get fired, but hired, but nothing is guaranteed in life. Okay. LinkedIn helps you increase your chances, and LinkedIn will help you grow. LinkedIn will help you learn. And be aware of the biggest threat of LinkedIn is that it can be a mind trick of getting into the belief that it is, it's scrolling and engagement is actual work. It's not. And what you learn is what you learn on the platform, and apply yourself through is what makes it the difference. And if LinkedIn feels cringe for you, so feel free to get off it, of course. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.